Hello, I thought today we'd look at a worksheet, and that was provided to me by Myungwan Kim at the 2017 Go Congress. And this video is going to be about advanced endgame, and by advanced I mean really advanced. But particularly we're going to look at how to calculate endgames where there are multiple moves in the sequence, and just to find the value of it. We're not really going to talk about sequencing, which is a completely different topic and very, very complicated and situational, but just to find the value of moves relative to their follow-ups. And by the end of this, you probably can solve most fairly resolved endgame problems. This won't cover like big yosei, oyosei, but although these moves would be found in oyosei. But I think they would be interesting. I don't know if we're going to get through all of them. Probably will, but and I think by going through them, we'll learn a lot of interesting techniques. Okay, so let's start with A. So the cool thing here, let's just start with the simple one, right? Black plays A, and black has 23 points in this corner, right? And we can count it. I use this cool little trick, which is like this is a 4x5 box, so it's 20. And then I just cancel some stones out. So I'll say that this black stone and this white stone, whoops, cancel out. This black stone and this white stone. These two white stones, I'm going to do it this way. These three white stones, or four white stones. And these four white stones. And now we can see that it's a box 4x5, so it's 20, plus 3 stones, so 23. And if you count it by hand, you'll notice that it's exactly the same. It is indeed 23. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay. So if black plays, black has 23. Let's write that down. And now we need to find how much it is when white plays, right? That's what it means to find the value of the move. Okay, so first thing to note is this is not a point because it's still a false eye. If black plays here, then this is still nothing, so we can't count it. Okay. Now let's start with the smaller region here. This is an easier point to focus on. So in this small region, black could play first, right? Let me back one step up. We should think about what move each side is going to play next. So if black plays, black's actually going to play here. And that's because when black plays here, white can't connect to the spot. It would be Damesumari, which means that these two stones are already captured. And in the corner, this is 8 points for black. So we can say black already has, when black comes here, black has 8 plus 4, so for a total of 12 points. Okay, so when doing this, we'll just say when white plays, initially, white has 0, and then there's a half chance of black having 12. Okay, now if black plays the next move. Now what happens if white plays the next move, right? White comes here. Well, we just said that, let's look at this part first. We just said that this is, in the previous case, black would get them. But here, either white could play one move to take them, or white could connect, right? So in this case, it's a half chance that black would have 4, or 0. There'd be nothing, right? If white connects, there's no points here. So on average, we could expect black would have 2 points here. Okay, so black would have 2 points here in this little part. How about for the rest of it, right? Well, over here, we can very clearly see that white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this has now become a real point at the false eye. So a total of 7 points, but black has 2 here. So 7 points for white, and we're going to say that's -7. So to reiterate, we have a half chance of -7 points plus 2 points for black. Okay, and that's if white plays first. And that's pretty simple, and that's basically it. Now we just want to take the swing of black playing first at A or white playing first. Well, let's simplify white a little bit. This is again equal to, I'm going to distribute out the half, so it's 1/2 of 12 plus minus 7 plus 2, excuse me. Did I get that right? Yep. So, which is equal to 7 divided by 2, right? In other words, it is 3.5, 3.5 points. Now, notice this is positive, so that means even if white plays first, and white plays here, it's still black in this area, and then by this area I mean this whole entire space. Black can expect to have about 3.5 points on average. So if white plays black, it's a score of 3.5 for black. And when black plays, it's a score of 23. So we just take the difference, right? 23 minus 3.5, and that'll give us 19.5. Cool, we solved it. So A is worth 19.5 points in swing value. Pretty cool. Now let's try B. B is quite difficult, particularly because of this under the stones business. Now I'm going to separate this into two parts. Again, if black plays, it's very simple. It's fairly simple. Not very simple, but we can count. This is 10, 6, 7. So 17 confirmed points for black. And so we can say that black has 17 points here. And we don't really know what's up with this part here. If black plays again, it's 0, and if white plays again, it's 6, right? Meaning white plays here, 6 points for white, and black plays here at 0 points. So if we're thinking about it, we could say black has 17 points plus a half chance of, well, 0 in the remaining area, right, just in this part on the right, and a half chance of, well, 6 points for white. So we'll just denote that by minus 6 because it's from black's perspective. And if we just simplify that a little bit, we'll see that black has here, we can expect 14 points in this area for black. Okay, but what about if white plays? So if white plays, well, we can see that white has 11 points in this space, right? But we don't know what's in this space, so we need to figure that out. So let's just say that already. We already know white has 11. Plus, well, this is tricky, right? If black plays, we could say black has 4 points because of the 4 captures for sure. We could definitely say that. So actually, let's back up one step. Let's make it easier. All right, let's do the easier one first. If white plays again, well, white has 2 points. I don't know why the stone isn't disappearing. But white has 2 points. So if there's a half chance that white has 2 points here. And there's a half chance that when black plays, we're not really sure what's happening. Now, we could say that this is 4 points for black, but we could think of this another way. You see all these halves that I have on the notepad I'm keeping track of. We can actually think of this kind of like a probability distribution. It's that after this half, we can divide this into another half. We could write it one way. Let me write it this way for the sake of being consistent first. I'm just going to put it down here. Black has 4 points. And then we have a half chance, again, that white will play here and get 4 points, right? So that's times minus 4. And there's another half chance that black could play again and get an additional 3 points. And let me make sure all my parentheses are correct because you know, this is a lot of parentheses. And well, okay, we've done all the math, and so this should be what? This should be 11 minus 1, so that's 10 plus. Well, let's just do it little by little. Half chance of 4 plus or minus 2 plus 3 halves, right? And you can already see, or at least for me, I am a little bit struggling because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So this is equal to 10 plus 1/2 of 2 plus, so 4 7/2, and then that's equal to 10 plus 7/4. You can see there's like a lot of parentheses are here already, and that's assuming I didn't mess something up, because I'm pretty sure I messed something up, because I'm kind of wondering about this 4 and the 4, but this seems about right. So this is what, 11 and 3/4. So it's 11 and 3/4. And so if white plays, we can assume, oh no, I forgot, this is a minus 11, right? So this is actually minus. See, you can already see like I'm getting confused because of my notation. This is minus 12. This is minus 12. Oh yeah, right. So actually, this is 10 and a fourth, and 0.25. Okay, so total swing is 24.25 for B. Now that's kind of a headache, right? Like you can already see that you can probably tell from me that this is kind of a headache, particularly this portion here. So let me show you a slightly easier way to conceptualize this, at least for me. Well, we still have the minus 11, right? If white plays first, this is my 11 here. If black plays first, well, I could count it as 4 confirmed, but it's actually easier for me to just split it into 2 lower probabilities. So I'll say there's a half chance of white playing again. So that was 2 points, minus 2. And then I'll split the other half just without the parentheses. So I'll say here, well, I don't know what it is. Black plays again. Black has 7, 4 captures and 3 points. So you could just say 1/4 of 7. Well, I kind of gave up on the asterisk, the multiplications. And we could say there's a 1/4 chance of, I think it's 1, right? A 0, because if white plays again, white gets these 4 points, 2 stones, but 4 points, and black got 4 points. So 1/4 of 0. Well, this cleans up much easier because we could just negate this part, right? That's gone. And we have minus 12 plus 7/4, which is what we had before, which is minus 10.25. And we can see the swing between black and white playing is again 24.25. Cool, right? So one little trick that we learned here, I guess I should say with the two tricks we've been using. One is that, oh boy. One is that we can calculate just one area and as a confirmed area, and then just see what is happening with the other area in terms of who plays first or second and what they can expect there. The other trick is that sometimes when you have a lot of stuff going on, or it's harder to figure out like who's getting what at each stage, and there's a lot to keep track of, you could just ignore it. You could just go down one level, treat it as, instead of half of this plus half of 2 things one level deeper, you could just treat it as a 1/4 chance of one and 1/4 chance of the other, right? And so those are both pretty useful tricks. Okay, so let's try C. I don't know how long. So let's just start easy, right? So black plays first, and this is 5 points. Okay. Well, we've already figured out this part from when we did the first one over here. This is 2 points for white. So we can already say black is equal to 5 minus 2. And what about over here? Well, actually, this is very easy. Just mentally, we know if white plays, white has 4. And black plays, black has 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. And there's a half chance of either one playing. So we can assume this is 1 point for black. So plus 1. And then that gives us a grand total of 4. Okay, not too bad, right? Oh, sorry, I messed this up. This is 1 point for white. If white plays, it's 4 for white, and black plays 2 for black. So then 2 for white, half chance of that. So this should be a minus. Oh, my bad. Oops. And this should be 2. See, it's very easy to make these mistakes. Although, to be honest, it's harder to explain it than it is to do the calculations when you're used to it. Okay, well that was easy. Now what happens if white plays? Well, we can already count this as a confirmed area. So this is 10, 14, 15, 16 for white. Right, so minus 16. Plus, there's a half chance that black has 4, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just add that in, half chance of 4. Plus, and if what happens if white plays again? Well, this is 4. We could say 4 and 10, so 14. So there's a half chance, oops, of minus 14. Oh, okay. Well, if I was doing this in my head, I would just, distribute the halves, so we really get minus 16. And I wouldn't even think about that. I'd keep that, in this area over here. Whoops. Whoops, what did I do? I just keep that in this area over here. And I would just say, okay, we have minus 10 divided by 2, so minus 5, so minus 5, and the 16, so minus 21. And so that means the total swing, going back to C, this move here, is just, 23, because black plays is positive 2 points for black on average, and if white plays, it's minus 21 points for white. Okay, that was a lot, right? Okay, well, let's see the next one. And that would be D. Well, D is pretty straightforward, right? Let's do the easier one first. White plays, this is 10, right? 14, or 10, 20, 22. Did I do that right? 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, and 2. So yeah, 22. So we could do that pretty quickly. White equals minus 22. And now how about black? Oh, let's see. If black plays here, we have 4 confirmed, and we just need to figure out this part. So 4 confirmed plus half chance of, well, if black plays again, it's very easy. I know that this is 1 point for black. It's, half chance of 2 or 0, so it's 1 point. So black plays again, half chance of 1 point. And if white plays after black plays, which is half chance of that happening, is 10, 14, 15. So half chance of 15. Negative 15, right? Because it's white for white. And we simplify that. And we say, okay, well, this is, again, one of those cases where if I was doing it piece by piece, it's kind of annoying. But I could just take the 1 and the 15, taking, distribution. So minus 14 divided by 2, minus 7. And then you add that to the 4. You get minus 3. Duh. Now this is kind of, remember this is important. When white plays, it's minus 22, meaning 22 points for white. And black plays is minus 3, meaning 3 points for white. So the total difference is not 25, right? It's only, the total swing is 19, or minus 19. Same thing, right? And that's important. That's something a lot of people mess up. You have to remember, like, if white plays D, the white's getting everything. White can't really get more than 22. So here we have minus 19, or the swing value would be 19 points for white. Cool. Okay. So you can see, like, this is getting easier. Now let's remember some little tricks. So going on to E, when black plays, very easy. Black has 8, not 9. And it's important to remember that this is only half a point. And the way you know that is if white plays, well, black will eventually have to capture here. So there's nothing here. But if black plays again, oh, now it's a real point. So there's a 50% chance of that being a point or not. It's, again, one of those things where you could do the math and you could do it really rigorously, but if you have enough experience, oh, black plays, it's 8.5 points. Cool. And if white plays, well, that's not too bad. White has 4 points confirmed. And if black plays, there's nothing. White plays again, it's half of 12. So half of 12 is 6, plus 4, that's 10 points for white. Oh, man, we're getting really quick at this, right? So if we want the swing, I should have probably written this earlier when we were doing it. But to be clear, it's 18.5. Yeah, not too bad, right? Okay, F. And I guess the key thing for this one is to remember there's this half point here. Okay, F. So what's easier? White plays first? And in practice, I actually do the easier one last because usually sometimes I forget it. But for the sake of demonstration, I thought maybe this would be better. I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway, so white plays first. That's 10, 16, 19, right? So white equals minus 19. Did I get that right? 10, 16, 19, yep. And if black plays first, well, black has 6 confirmed. But this is a case, again, where I might just split this down a level immediately and say instead, okay, black plays here. Black has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so it's half chance of 10. 10 plus, and if white plays here, right, then I would just say this has 6, and I'd cancel that with these 6, and white has 6, 7, 8. Okay, so half chance of minus 8. And so you see the trick I'm doing here is I know that these 3 stones that were captured are equal to these 3 stones that are also going to be captured, or if I had another 6 points, like these 3 or something. And so instead of remembering the 6 points and then doing everything one step down, because this is a case that's fairly simple to count, I would say, okay, well, we just cancel those out, and then we could just count this little bit for white. So this is 6, 7, 8. And so now we're down one level. We have half chance of 10, half chance of 8 points for white as a net. Well, that's 10 minus 8 is 2 divided by 2. You get 1 point for black. Right, so that's equal to 1. Well, 1 point for black versus 19 for white gives you a swing equal to 20. I believe that is correct. Actually, I worked these out before, but I don't remember all of them. But yeah, I believe it's 20. Okay, so G. G is tricky because we have to remember that after anyone plays it, there are these cuts here, right, that we have to remember about. Well, this is a case where after, let's say, black plays, it's actually easier for me to just think about it as pieces, right? So here I'd say black has this amount and confirmed, and this is the area we have to guess around. So if black plays, we captured 2 stones, right? Yeah, so 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 1 is 11 points. So black plays is equal to 11, plus an area we don't really know, but actually I've done this one so many times. If white plays, you can see there's 3, and if black plays, there's 4, right? White plays here, there's 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And if black plays again, you can see that black will get these 2, and it's 4 points. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and half of 1 is a half. So we could say that this is 0.5 for black, right? Because we're getting 2 stones versus white getting 3. Yep. And now what about white? Well, if white plays, white is getting 10 points. These 6 plus 4 for 10. And now we have the next part, which is a half chance of whoever plays here. Well, if black plays, it's clearly 6 points. And if white plays, we have to remember this kind of thing. Even if black plays here, white can go here. So there's no points for black. So it's just 4 points for white. So it's 6 for black or 4 for white, right? So you can see I'm going to write it out so it's clear. But in my head, I've already distributed this. I'm just counting over it. It's 6 minus 4, right? And half chance of either one happening, but I've distributed it. So this is 2 plus, so it's 2 divided by half, or 2 divided by 2, or 2 times a half, which is 1. So this is equal to 11. Oh, but actually that's not quite right, because this is minus 10, right? It's actually more confusing to write it than to solve it. Okay, minus 10, and let me just check this again. White plays at minus 4. Yep. Black plays at 6, positive 6. So net is 1, positive 1. So net here is minus 9. And this was 11.5. Let me just check. Yeah, 11.5. And so, okay. And so we have a swing, right? A swing is equal to 20.5 is like the swing value of that. Little tricky, but not too bad, right? And actually, I think we've kind of used all our tricks. There aren't a lot of other tricks I use for these, and you can see that they're pretty manageable. Here it's very easy. Black plays first, right? So black plays first, and we get 10, 14 plus 4 is 18. And white plays a little trickier. We have to remember, even though white playing these, white is only getting 3 points because this point here, and actually don't know how to take these off the board, but if this point here is still not a point for white because if black connects, it's a false eye. So that means that when white plays here at H, we only count 3 points for white. So this is -3. And then there's a half chance that white will capture again. And when white captures again, it gets 4 plus the 1 point here that was not here. So it's half chance of -5. And then there's a half chance that after white plays, that black will play here. And if black plays here, it's not just white is gaining nothing, but black actually gains half a point here. So it's actually a half chance of half a point. Kind of cool. And so if we want to do this simply, we just say 5 minus a half is 4.5 divided by 2, and that's like 2.25 minus 3 plus or minus 2.25, you get minus 5.25. And so you get a swing of 23.25. And I believe that is right. It seems a little weird. I don't remember. I solved this before a long time ago. I don't remember getting a fraction like this, but I think it's right. I could be wrong on this. I have a feeling I'm wrong. White plays is 3 plus, and then half chance of 5 or half. And I did the black of 10, 14, 18. I think my math is right, but for some reason, maybe I did it wrong in the past. I don't know. Okay, and let's look at I. I is not too bad. Again, we can do the easy one first. Black takes. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Or you could just do 8 plus 6 plus 1, which is 15. And that's over this space. And it'll be clear why we're counting this in a second, but if you didn't see why. And if white plays, white gets 6, and we have to count the follow-up, because if white were to cut here, even if black Ataris, white can connect here. But if white cuts, there's no way to save these, because even if black tries to connect, there's a snapback. Sorry, I'm not overly familiar with the OGS tools. Okay, so we could say this is -6, and then I would say if black plays, we could see that there's 6 points, right? Like this for black. So, okay, half chance of 0. But I would actually just say white has 6, then half chance of 6 for black, which is 3. So that brings us down to 3 points for white. And if white plays, there's a half chance. There's a half chance of white playing again, which is again 6 points. So brings us up by 3. So then we're back to 6 points for white, which is pretty cool. So this is -6 and gives us a net swing equal to 21 points. Not too bad. And now we're down to our last problem, which is J. And let's see about J. Well, this is pretty easy actually. Compared to all the other problems, this is really easy. White plays, this is 10, 16, 18. Okay, so 18 points equals -18. And black plays, well, in this case, the reason this is easy is because I know in this kind of shape, this is always 3 points for black. I just know that anytime something is fully surrounded is 3 points for black. And I also know that this is 4 points for black. And similarly, although it takes a little bit of mental, gotta wrap your head around it a little bit. So this is 7 points for black, right? And I also know that this is just 1 point for white because white could capture it or not. And so -1. And that gives you 6 points for a swing equal to 24 points. Not too shabby. I guess this is one other trick that I would mention, not just knowing these points, but there's another way you can think about this. In this kind of situation, you can count the size independently, because you know this is half chance that white will play here, or half chance black will capture these. So when you're doing the math, you can kind of distribute the, like you could say black +8, -2. Like one way of writing this black part, let me give some room, is you could say black gets half chance of 6. I realize that this might be a little bit confusing for the left part, and then has a quarter chance. Well, those are actually independent areas. Half chance of 6 plus half chance of 0. And then you have plus, on the right part, half chance of 8 plus a half chance of -2. But another way of doing this in my head is I just already knew, which is I guess the same mathematically as this, is I knew this was 4 for black because half and half chance of 2 here. So I just put them together, 4 plus 4 minus 1 is 3. Well, actually, and then I took this part and this part together because I just counted all of the black parts together. So you could take the white parts together, although in this case it's pretty boring because it's 0, and combine the black parts together too, as another way to solve this. So I'll put it here. And again, this is 7, half of 6 and 8, and 1. So 7 minus 1 gives us 6, and 6 compared to what if 18 points for white gives us a swing of 24. Yep. So that is all of them. Oh, what a roller coaster. I actually personally think that this under the stones thing is the most painful or most obnoxious part of this whole thing. I would just count that as, I just memorize that, to be honest, as like 3/4 of a point or something for the side that for the color that's capturing. So this would be 3/4 of a point for black, and so it's 11 minus 3/4 is like, oh, was it 12? 11? I don't remember. See, but that's on my list. That's on my list to do. I should memorize that so I don't have to ever do that again. That's a pain. And like, you would never in a game calculate this. I would just estimate it. Actually, I would do, okay, 7 or 0, so 3.5. Oh, so this is 3.5 for the side that takes it. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. Look at the video. I think it's 3. Black plays twice, you get 7. Black plays once, then white plays once, it's 0, so that's just 7. And white plays is 2, so it's quarter chance of 7, and 1 point for white. So it's 7/4 minus 1 is 3/4. So yeah, oh, okay. So I was right. It's 3/4 of a point for black, and then versus the 11 points for white. So you get 10.25. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna memorize that it's 10 and 3/4 of a point for black. I think that's much easier to do here. Okay. Anyway, I hope this was instructive, and actually, in many cases, especially for like even positions you're not familiar with, like Joseki or corners, this is how you calculate those endgame values. In a game, you really can't do more than 2 or 3 of these without like really affecting your time trouble. But any strong player knows or has their own methods for calculating these types of endgame values, especially where there's moves that come after the initial move, and you need to figure out what those move values are, or how much each move is. Yeah, so I thought you know, a lot of people get confused about this, especially like how to follow the follow-ups or just the mental practice. And so I thought this would be really good practice if anyone wanted problems, because, you know, these actually, I don't really know where to get problems for this kind of stuff. And even in like, well, I mostly use Japanese resources because I know of more Japanese than other languages, but even in Japanese, there's not a lot of stuff that's good for this. So then the best thing is just like in games practicing. Yeah, but anyway, I thought this would be useful, and I hope you enjoyed it, and take care. See you next time.